Hello and welcome again to Tech It Out. This is another in the series of the how-to videos. It's a follow-on from a previous video on how to protect your personal information. In that video we looked at old hard drives that we were disposing of from systems that we may possibly be selling or so on. And basically to ensure that the information could never be retrieved from those drives, we destroyed the drives. In this video we're looking at drives that we're using in our system drives, removable drives or thumb drives. Now I've already plugged a drive into my system here and it's shown up as an I drive. Now just to make sure I've got the right drive, because I want to make sure I'm working on the right drive, I'll just right click on it to make sure it's the same size as the one I've plugged in. If I go down to properties, and here I can see that the plug drive in is 74 gigabytes free space. It's an 80 gigabyte drive. Just an old drive that I had lying about. Now we're going to use some software called Encryption software, which is built into Windows, and you may think that you'd find this somewhere in here under Tools or Security, but it's not actually in this place. Where we need to look for it, if we go back out of here, if we highlight the I drive again and then right click on it and look down the list, we'll find something called Turn BitLocker on. So if we click on that, we find that we have the encryption software here. Now there are two ways to set it up and lock it. One is to use a smart card, which is like a swipe card, which most people don't generally have, usually used in businesses and so on. Or we can use the normal way that most people would use, which is with the password. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a password to lock our drives, and if you read there it says that we should use upper lowercase letters, random letters, numbers and so on, symbols even. So if I just open up a text file here, we can have a look at the type of thing that it's suggesting we use. I'll increase the font size a little so we can see better. Now ideally we'd use something completely random. Now I won't use a completely random, but this is the type of thing that they mean. It wouldn't of course be ABC123, that would be rather stupid. But as you can see, I'm using upper and lowercase, numbers, symbols, and so on. But it's extremely difficult to try and remember something like that. Not just the letters and the numbers and the symbols, which is upper and lowercase. So we could use something a bit more familiar to ourselves. Maybe starting off with a name. And again using random upper and lowercase. With a set of random numbers, not using our date of birth, car registration or our house number, postcode, because they're quite easily found in various places on the web, especially if you use Facebook and so on. So we have two names with some random numbers and random upper and lowercase, but again it's quite difficult to try and remember something like that. So we could actually simplify it even more and still keep it as a strong password. If we did something like this, where we chose one letter to put in capitals, then some random numbers, and the second name with one letter in capitals again, that would be incredibly hard to crack if you were to try and use some of the software that's available, which uses what's called brute force cracking, which basically means cycling through every combination that you have until you get the key. So we'll just put in our password then. Click next. And now we're presented with three choices. We can save this backup recovery key. Now this is in case you forget your password. It's a key that is created so that you can unlock the drive if you forget your password. We can save it to our Microsoft account, but that I think would be a bit silly really, because if somebody gets access to our computer, they probably got access to our Microsoft account as well, and quite possibly could find the key. The same with saving to a file, unless you named it something completely random, but then if your drive is locked you won't get at it. So my preference is to use the third choice here, print the recovery key out onto a sheet of paper and hide it somewhere, or lock it in a safe or a lockbox if you have one. Somewhere that you'll remember, of course. When we press next, we get this next screen which shows us two choices here: encrypt the disk space that's used or encrypt the entire disk. Now, I would suggest always going for the second choice. It does take longer, but it does mean that everything on the disk will be encrypted, present files and future files. So we click Next. And we asked if we want to start encryption, and of course we say yes, and off it goes. Now, it does take various lengths of time depending on how much information you have in your drive, how big the drive is, and whether it's an SSD or a mechanical drive. Mechanical drives, of course, are much slower. So we leave this carry on, and once it gets to the end, we'll have a look at what happens next. So we'll just jump forward to there now. So now the encryption is completed. I've unplugged the drive and I'm going to plug it back in to the USB port. And when I do, we get this pop-up saying that the drive is inaccessible, access denied. Don't worry about that, just click on the drive letter. The password box pops up and you can just put in the password to unlock it. If you've forgotten the password, you can click on the More options and enter that recovery key that you printed off. You can even have it to automatically unlock when plugged into a particular PC. That is in itself, again, a bit of a security risk, so I would leave that unchecked. Now, to manage what we've done, the security of the drive, the encryption, we go here to Manage Encryption, Manage BitLocker. Wait for it to load up. And there we go, we have the iDrive. All the other drives are not encrypted, as you can see, but the one we've just encrypted is. So now you can back up the key again, change the password, remove the password, add a smart card, turn on the auto unlock, or turn off the BitLocker. So now your drive is encrypted. If somebody should take it, there's nothing they can do with it. It's totally useless to them. They can't get any of the information off the drive unless they have either the recovery key or your password. Thank you for watching.